Hey everyone, Susan Honer from Present Body Pilates. I thought I'd give you a little core series to do with either a wobbly disc, if you have this at home, or if you have an overball or a courgeous ball with you. You can deflate your courgeous ball or your overball, right? So it kind of looks like I could make a hat out of it, a beautiful hat. There still is air in here, so it'll look like you want to squeeze out as much air as you can, but once you put your pelvis on top of this, you'll feel it still has a little bit of air in it as you rock and roll around. I'm going to use the wobbly disc just because you can see it better, but you can do the same thing with that over ball or your courgeous ball. So you want to place that inflated object right at the center of your pelvis, okay? So you want to find a place where, and again, this is larger, so I'm a little bit more in an inverted position than I would be on the smaller ball, but you want to place it where you feel like your pelvis is fairly neutral. Your pubic bone and your belly button are about on the same plane. Mine's a little tilted up on here, so I'm feeling a little bit more weight down into the shoulders. You want to make sure the collarbones are smiling wide, and let's place the palms up to the ceiling so we can encourage a little external rotation through the upper body, opening up through your pecs and the front of the chest. So feel the pelvis weighted into your aerated dome underneath you. And I want you to do some pelvic tilts from here. So I'm going to inhale, rock my pelvis forward. So we're going to work on our clocks. Exhale, tilt the pelvis back and feel the small of the back almost like it could lengthen out underneath you. Inhale, rock the pelvis forward. And then exhale, rocking back, making a smaller version of your waist, really emptying all the air out from the abdominals and the torso cavity. One more, inhale, rock forward. And then exhale and rock back. Now, if you go to the hip bones, you can also rock side to side. And again, on this wobbly surface, if you've done any of these pelvic clocks in Pilates, it's actually a lot easier to feel, especially the side to side action, when you have something underneath you, okay? So I'm dipping one hip down, dipping the other. Like if I had my pelvis was a warm bowl of tea, I could spill tea over my right hip bone, spill tea over my left hip bone without my knees swaying side to side. Okay, so I'm really trying to get my pelvis to rock and roll around that pinball head of my thigh. Find the center. Now, see if you can go on your diagonals. Okay, so if your pubic bone is 12 and your right hip bone is 3, can you rock on the diagonal maybe to like 130, 145? And then can you rock back, if your belly button is 6 and your left hip bone is 9, can you rock back to like 645, 7, something like that? So you inhale, rock on that diagonal. Exhale back. Again, feeling that length through the lumbar spine. Try that one more time, rock on that diagonal. And back. Try the opposite diagonal, right? So this is actually what our pelvis does when we walk, right? So we're starting to put some spiraling action back into our hip bones and our sacrum, unwinding any holding patterns. And notice if one of these angles is a little more tricky to move into. I can feel the difference. Now find the center. Take a full pelvic circle here, all around your clock. Pubic bone is 12, belly button is 6, moving through all 12 hours. And notice those hours that feel a little stickier. Right, so we're running out of time all the way up to 12. Let's reverse that. Rolling back counterclockwise. Notice what's going on with the back. Again, I'm a little bit more lifted, but I'm still trying to imagine my ribs sinking down into a hammock underneath me. And then I'm going to let that settle back into the center. Now from here, place your hands on your belly. Take a deep breath in. Really fill up your body three-dimensionally. And then as you exhale, make a smaller version of your waist. Empty out all of your air. You might even feel a little lift up from the pelvic floor. Right, so you're really feeling that deep transversus connection. Float your right leg up to tabletop, and then your left leg up to match. Okay? Again, I'm still sinking my ribs down. Palms are up. Inhale, tap your right toes down towards the ground. Exhale and pour that thigh bone back into the deep, wide back of your pelvis. Inhale, left toes tap down. Exhale, pour that thigh bone deeper into the hip joint. So as you lower, you want to decelerate, right? This is walking down the steps. We want to really encourage your psoas, those deep obliques, deep abdominals, to help control as you decelerate to lower, and then move from the center of the pelvis to lift that leg up. Now you can do that up to 10 times. Try the same thing with the feet flex. So as you lower down, right, a couple more inches to go when the heel is reaching to the ground versus the toes. So I have my hands here on my hip bones and the bottom of my ribs. So I can just kind of check in and make sure that I'm not twisting side to side, right? So you have much more challenge underneath you on this wobbly surface to keep your pelvis stable than you would on the floor. Again, you can repeat that up to 10 times. Hug the legs together. Inhale, lower both legs down. And from the deep, wide back of the pelvis, pour those thighs into the hip joints. So we're trying to get out of the hip flexors. Narrow your waist. Make a smaller version of your waist. Inhale as you lower. So legs lower. Does your back want to pop up? Fall back into your hammock. Exhale and lift. Inhale, both legs lower. Exhale, both legs lift. And then give your knees a little hug into your chest to let that release. Now, another one I like to do here, if you have one leg up to tabletop, can you open your leg like a book out to the side and then bring it back up? Again, pour that thigh into the hip joint. Open the thigh out laterally, right? So I'm not rotating my knee to the side, but I'm letting my thigh open out and then pour it down into my hip joint. Again, try about 5 to 10 of those. Switch to the other side. Inhale, open. Can you keep the pelvis neutral? Exhale, bring it back. Check in with those ribs. Open that leg. It's almost like the opposite side of my core has to stabilize and sink down into my wobbly disc. Inhale, open. Exhale, make a smaller version of that waist. Good. Give those knees a little hug back into your chest. Go ahead and plant the feet down. Carefully take your disc out or your deflated ball. Relax onto the ground and then notice the difference. Right? Do you feel a little bit more wide at the back of the pelvis? Maybe if you do some of those pelvic tilts, you feel a little bit more released and open.